Respect, my dear viewers, and welcome to a video review of Battle for Wesnoth. I'm the Cynical Croat, your guide for this presentation. So what is Battle for Wesnoth? You could say that it is a turn-based strategy game with a fantasy setting, its own lore, and some RPG elements. The game can be played in single player and multiplayer, both providing a good amount of fun. Gameplay-wise, it is a turn-based strategy game. You move your units around, attack the enemy, then you end your turn and the enemy does the same. Simple. So what is so special about Battle for Wesnoth? For starters, it's free. Yes, you heard that right. This game is free and it always receives updates that improve gameplay, fix bugs and glitches, add some new soundtracks and add some new unit portraits. It has a strong community and translation on multiple languages. For single player, you have a decent selection of campaigns to play, ranging from short tutorials, long story campaigns, and challenging set of scenarios with different objectives. And in case you finish them all, there are more available to download, created from the members of the community, free of charge. For story, I'll cover Heir to the Throne, the original campaign for this game. If Battle for Wesnoth was a fleet, this would be the flagship. It has around 23 scenarios, and it explains some parts of the lore of Wesnoth through the story. The story kicks off with an orc attack on an elven sanctuary. An elder mage and young fighter, Delphador and Conrad, need to escape. You see, the orcs were sent by Queen Ashavier to kill Conrad, since he's the legitimate heir to the throne, thus endangering her position as queen. Why is that a problem? Well, you see, she got to her position by convincing one of the king's sons to murder the king in the heat of battle against the orcs some years ago. So you have a reason to escape and a reason to go against her. Your journey will see you through different lands, encountering different enemies to defeat and allies to recruit. Sometimes you'll be given a choice between two ways of advancing, each having a different map, advantages and disadvantages. For example, if you manage to defeat both orcs in scenario 4, you will be given a choice of advancing forward on foot or by sea. If you go on foot, you will reach a peninsula taken by a necromancer with undead minions, while going by ship will shipwreck you on an undead island occupied by liches. The former is easier to pass, while the latter will grant you a few outlaw units and a white mage if you manage to defeat all liches. Each choice will grant you rewards or other bonuses, like objects your heroes might find that will improve their defense or grant them a new attack. This campaign offers a decent amount of challenge for newcomers, while also explaining some key characteristics of units, giving advice how to best use them. The story is strong, with interesting characters, lore and scenarios. At the very least, it will keep you interested enough to see what happens. We explained the story, now on to the gameplay. It is turn-based, with different factors added to diverse it a bit. Factions exist such as elves, humans, orcs, dwarves, drakes and saurians, each with different units, traits, abilities and alignments. Elves are fast and fight well in forests, but are less resistant compared to the other factions. Dwarves are slow, tough, and fight well in mountains, hills and caves, while they're easy targets to hit on the open field. Orcs are strong, but most of them lack a ranged attack, while humans are the jack of all trades, good mobility, durability, and versatility. But they are not as tough as the dwarves, fast as the elves, or strong as the orcs. On the map, you need to capture villages to get gold to recruit new units. Villages can also heal your units by 8 health points if they stay there for one turn. Each unit has its own amount of movement points. How far it can move depends on the unit type and the terrain. Cavalry will generally fight and move best on open fields, while forests will hamper their movement and make them easier to hit. When you attack a unit, you can choose to attack it with a melee or ranged weapon with different properties. There are 6 types of attacks: cut, pierce, blunt, fire, cold and arcane, each having different efficiency against other units. Case in point, skeletons. They are tough to beat if you use spears, swords and cold attacks, but once you switch to fire attacks, maces and arcane attacks, they will melt away like no one's business. Terrain will determine the chances of an attack succeeding. Generally speaking, a heavy infantryman is an easy target to hit when he stands in a river. while a thief or fencer are hard to hit even on the open field, harder when in forests and terrains that provide better cover. Some units have special attacks that improve their chances of hitting the enemy. Mages have magical attacks, granting them a 70% chance to hit enemies regardless of terrain modifiers, while some archers have the marksman ability, granting them a 60% next chance of hitting the enemy, but only when they're attacking. Each unit has an alignment, which affects when it fights best. It is divided between lawful, neutral, and chaotic. Lawful units fight best during day, while chaotic units fight best during night. Neutral units gain no combat bonus. However, that also means they get no combat penalty. Lawful units fight first at night, and chaotic units fight first during day. The bonus increases the damage they deal to other units by 25%, while the penalty reduces it by 25%. Each unit that you recruit gets 2 random traits, affecting some of their stats a bit. A mage might get a strong and resilient trait, increasing his damage by 1 and his hit points by 4, making him better at holding ground. A spearman that gets an intelligent trait and a quick trait will require less experience to level up and have 1 extra move point, while having 5% less health points. Or anything in between, really. That means that you're more incentivized to use a specific unit to move it somewhere else, which means quick units will be used to capture villages more efficiently, while tough units will be used to occupy hills, mountains, or other important terrain types in order to hold the enemy back. Abilities are usually present in some higher level units, and these range from healing a nearby unit, being invisible in the woods or villages, ignoring zone of controls of enemy units, leadership that gives 25% more damage to nearby units that are of lower level than the unit that has that ability, etc. This gives you more options, so you can hold a choke point with a heavy infantryman, while a white mage heals him from behind and a general boosts his damage output. It spices the game without making it unbalanced or broken. The multiplayer can be played online, LAN, or hot seat, meaning you can play the game on the same computer. It is fun because human players surprise you with their strategy, and you can set the options to have unlimited turns and insane amount of income from villages, which is impossible in scenarios, given that the villages give you 1 to 3 gold and you have a set amount of turns to finish the objective. The graphics are good for a free 2D game. They're nothing detailed, they're easy on the eyes. The art of unit portraits is also wonderful, while the attack animations are well done. And yes, you can run this game no problem, even with a PC from 2005. My hand in the fire if it isn't true. The sound and music are also well made and composed. The sounds of clashing swords and firing bows may not be like in Medieval 2, but it is nonetheless exceptionally excellent and distinctive, which also applies to the soundtrack. Whether it be a calm song with a light-hearted melody, a military march with drums, or heavy combat pounding chant, you will definitely enjoy the soundtrack and never feel detached from the game. This is true in the cutscenes of the campaign. The soundtrack varies from easygoing and calm to tense and dramatic. The controls are good, you only use the mouse and it doesn't mess up, so I have no complaints in the control department. If there is one thing that might irritate me in this game, it is the factor of randomness when trying to hit an enemy unit. It adds an element of uncertainty and it's fun, I have nothing against it, but it will irritate you in situations when your mage has a 70% of hitting a target. He strikes 4 times and misses all of them. Or the special case that you have a 60% of chance of hitting an enemy and you manage to hit them only once. It is understandable, those are percentages after all, but that doesn't make it any less infuriating. But this is more of an irk or rather an irritating thing that may happen in the game, but nothing game breaking, nothing that will make you rage quit. Battle for Wesnoth is a type of game that exemplifies true devotion and care, not for a product, but for a creation. Being a truly free game released back in 2003, with a stable version released in 2005, and receiving numerous updates up to this day, while also supported by a strong and tightly connected community, it's the gift that keeps on giving. It has good graphics, good sound, excellent soundtrack, easy to understand gameplay that rewards smart tactical decisions, and a lore that gives depth to the universe it has, whether that lore is presented to you through the game's encyclopedia or via the story of the various campaigns. This might surprise some of you, my dear viewers, but my verdict on this game is a 10 out of 10, with an exceptionally high recommendation to everyone who watched this review or heard about this game from some other source. This doesn't mean the game is perfect and without flaws. This means the game is worth to be in your game library. This means the game is worth your time, especially considering it's free and of relatively small size, around 400 megabytes. The link to the game is below in the description and in the comment section. This has been The Cynical Crud. Have a pleasant day.